I wasted years doing the wrong workouts. And after 15 years of trial and error, I've narrowed down to 5. So in today's video, I'm ranking them from worst to best. Let's jump right into it. Okay, coming in at number 5, and this is what I like to call the variety pack. I did 1 to 2 long distance cardio sessions per week. I did 2 strength workouts per week, and I did 2 calisthenic workouts per week also. So let's define what they are. I'll talk about some pros and cons, and I'll give you my big takeaway at the end. So obviously long distance cardio sessions, 20, 30 minutes on the treadmill, jogging, stuff like that. Calisthenics, I'm sure you know what that is. It's just body weight trainings like push-ups, pull-ups, squats, stuff like that. And then the strength workouts, just your traditional, like, going to the gym, lifting machines, dumbbells, barbells, all that sort of stuff. So what were some pros about it? And I'll talk about some cons. And like I said, I'll give you my takeaway at the end for this routine. Some pros were I did get particularly lean from it, from doing this phase. So I did notice my body fat was pretty low, like when I did this for a few years. And I really used this in my early 20s. And I probably did it for a good 2 to 3 years in my early 20s, this full routine. I found there's a good mix of variety too. That was another pro from it. Like I never got bored, right? Because there's like some cardio, there was some strength, some calisthenics, opposed to just doing like, pure strength training every single day or pure cardio sessions every single day. So it was always had some pretty cool variety to it. And I never got bored from those workouts. And the last good pro I'd say before I get the con is I never really had any overused injuries. So maybe you're kind of listening to this right now and maybe you have some like tendon issues or shoulder issues. Well, I never really got it from this routine because I think it's just a good mix of everything. And when you incorporate different movements in, there's a better chance you're not going to have those leg injuries. And my body felt great. And I was in my early 20s, so that's a bit of a cheat code. But I did find that I never had any leg injuries when doing this kind of routine. So what were the cons of this routine and why do I have it 5th, like last place here? So the biggest con I found from this routine was it just didn't maximize muscle growth, right? Like if I'm doing cardio and I'm doing calisthenics and I'm only doing 2 strength training sessions per week, it's just not ideal for building muscle. You can definitely get lean from it. Obviously, couple that with your calorie deficit and your protein, all that sort of stuff. But in terms of maximizing muscle growth, it definitely wasn't ideal. So like if your goal was to like get ripped and like add muscle and just kind of, get that good frame, this is probably the routine I wouldn't do if I were you. But if you like variety, if you like getting lean, this is still a good thing that you can do. But I do have it coming in at number 5 because for me, I want to get ripped and I do want to add muscle. And this just didn't really maximize my muscle growth. So let's move on to the next one now. Okay, coming in at number 4, we have the bro split with 1 cardio session per week. So let's talk about the bro split. Let's do our pros and cons and my big takeaway for you at the end. So if you're not familiar with the bro split, you essentially just hammer 1 or 2 muscles in a given workout. So for me, what I did was like back on Monday, chest on Tuesday, legs on Wednesday, Thursday was arms and shoulders, and then Friday was kind of like a little bit of everything. I made some ab work with some calves, and if I felt like a muscle was lagging, maybe I'd add some sets to that Friday workout, if that makes sense. And for the cardio, what I did is like 1 week, I would do like 1 session would be steady state, like just running for like 20 minutes, like your typical jogging treadmill work. And then the next week would be more like interval training, so maybe like 20 seconds fast on the treadmill, 10 seconds slower, 20 seconds fast, do that for 6 to 8 rounds. If you're familiar with Tabata, it's basically like Tabata. Okay, so let's talk about some pros here, some cons, and then our takeaway. The pros that I have, and number 1 by far was my body fat definitely remained low compared to my last split, but my muscle mass definitely increased. And it makes sense, right? Like I'm doing now 5 strength workouts per week compared to basically 2 before. I did calisthenics before with cardio, and there just wasn't as much volume or focus on building muscle. But with the bro split, you get a lot more attention to muscles, and you do a lot more of it as well. So that's definitely pro number 1. Number 2, I hate leg day personally. So I like that I only have to do leg day once per week. Like right now I do it twice per week, and we'll talk when we split in just a few minutes. You don't want to miss out on what's number 1. But I just enjoy doing the legs once a week. It's a lot more just like better on my mind, and it wasn't as taxing for me. So I did enjoy that part. And the third pro I have for you as well is my strength definitely went up. And again, it makes sense. Muscles got bigger. I'm spending more time on those muscles. Overall, it's going to get stronger. Now, there are a couple cons, I would say, though, to the split, and I'll give my big takeaway right after this. Con number 1 is it was definitely a lot harder on the body, right? And my quality of sets definitely suffered towards the end of the workout. So, for example, like say I'm doing chest, like 18 sets or 16 sets in a chest workout, but I set like 10, 12, 14, 16 towards the end, the quality really starts to go down and the strength starts to suffer as well. right? So I prefer kind of splitting it up into two. Like maybe I do like 6 to 8 sets of chest on Monday, maybe like 6 to 8 more on Thursday. That way I can focus more on higher quality overall, opposed to doing it all at once, because your first half of the workout will be good with the bro split, but the last half, typically speaking, at least with me and even my clients that I've talked about as well when I used to program for them, is that their performance used to drop off. So that's definitely the big con in terms of the bro split. The overall takeaway I have for you, if you wanted the bro split mixed with like a cardio session per week, is you can definitely get lean and build muscle. Like for sure, it's a good way of doing it. I would say there's limitations to it though, and it is a little bit harder on the joints because you're just doing so many sets of that muscle in that particular workout. And if you do the bro split, what I would recommend, do lower volume opposed to me when I was on like 18, 20, sometimes even north of 20 sets for one muscle group, which is way too much. So do lower volume if you're going to do it and focus more on like higher quality, if that makes sense. We talked about the bro split. We talked about the calisthenics and cardio. Let's get into number 3 right now. All right, coming in at number 3, I did 5 hybrid home workouts per week with 1 and 2 HIIT training sessions on top of that. So what the hell does hybrid home workouts mean, right? Essentially, I'm talking about any sort of equipment outside of machines. So like dumbbells, barbells, bends, TRXs, landmines, anything you could think of that essentially wasn't machines. Like that's the style of training we did basically when we had the boot camp. And basically my split for that was, and I'll talk about the cardio, what I did after, was I did upper body on Monday, lower body Tuesday, Wednesday I did pull, so kind of think back biceps. Push I did on Thursday, it's more chest, shoulders, triceps. And then Friday was back to lower body twice a week. And then on top of that, I did 1 and 2 boot camp classes per week. So we call it HIIT, but whatever the boot camp class was that week or that day, I should say. So it could be like Tabata, it could be like a 30 on, 15 off circuit training, could be every minute on the minute. I typically did 1 and 2 sessions of that on top of the 5 workouts I just talked about. So it's a lot of volume. Let's talk about some pros, we'll get some cons, and my big takeaway for you at the end. So some pros with this style of training is I definitely got like fantastic results, like for sure. Like my results were not quite the best, but like probably second best. I'll talk about more on that in just a minute. It definitely was cool in that sense. And I did enjoy it also because I do love training for the most part, unless it's like leg day. So like I didn't mind doing the 1 and 2 HIIT training workouts per week on top of the 5 workouts per week. But yeah, I got a good results overall, and it was pretty fun to train. Which leads me to a con though. It definitely was a lot harder on my body. So I did this style of training probably like later 20s, maybe to 31. I'm about 34, turning 35 now, get a little bit older. So it was a little bit harder on my body, even my late 20s. And it definitely took a toll on me, right? Even my strength went down a bit because I'm just doing so much volume. Like it's 5 workouts per week, like strength workouts, and this 1 and 2 HIIT training sessions on top of that. It's just a lot of stuff to do. So my body really started to wear down, and I probably had a lot more nagging injuries then, like even like 6 years ago, to what I do right now at 34, 35 years old. Another con as well, if you're thinking about this style of training, is it's pretty expensive to set up and it's inconvenient. So unless you have like a sick home gym, you probably don't need to do it. Like you're either probably working at home with like dumbbells and maybe a barbell and some bands, or you're going to a gym, right? If you want to make a sick home style, you definitely can. But just know like it's gonna be expensive and time consuming to make this style as well. So what's my big takeaway for you, and do I recommend it? I would recommend it if you absolutely love like working out a lot, like working out 5 strength workouts per week, plus the HIIT training workouts on top of that. And I would recommend it if your body feels like very good right now. But overall, it's if the majority of men, and most guys watching this probably are over 30 or at least 28, and you're trying to experiment what workouts you should do. I probably wouldn't recommend it just because it is so taxing on the body. You will get fantastic results, you will get ripped, but the downfall is you probably have more nagging injuries and your body's just not going to feel as great. We got 3 down, 2 more to go. Don't miss the very end because I'm going to talk about what kind of style of training is the best as well, kind of on top of like what I'm referring to right now. So we'll talk about like tempo, all that sort of stuff. So stay tuned for that. Okay, coming in at number 2, and this is the exact split I'm currently doing right now, is I'm doing 5 gym workouts per week, mixed with 8 to 12,000 steps per day at least. So in terms of structure, it's the exact same thing as like the hybrid one I talked about, meaning like upper body Monday, lower body Tuesday, pull Wednesday, etc., etc. The difference is I'm just obviously using and mixing more machines in compared to just like all free weights. So maybe sometimes it's something like a goblet squat, I'll do a leg press, or like a dumbbell curls, I'll do preacher curls. I'm sure you catch my drift. So let's talk about some pros, let's talk about some cons, and my big takeaway for you. Pro number one, and you might not expect this one, but definitely pro number one I'd say is my strength has gotten a lot better with the gym workouts. Now, I'm not exactly sure why, and I'll hypothesize in 1 second. But for example, like my bench press, like let's say I was doing my hybrid home workouts with like the HIIT training and whatnot, is I used to like probably 185 for 8 or so. And I'm not allowed to be lifting heavy to begin with. So that's a video I'll link at the end. You can watch that. But now I'm basically doing like 185 for 12 and just a lot more smooth. So like my strength has gone up. And I think a big factor because that is instead of just like kill myself with like cardio and HIIT training, I've focused more on like walking and more just like lower impact activities to help my recovery. And the thing is us guys, well not I think, I know us guys, when we get older past 30, 40, 50, 60, etc., we want to sub out like those high intensity interval training and like killing ourselves to just get our step count a little bit higher. And it can actually work wonders for you. Number two is my body feels just so much better. Again, talking about the walking, I'm just not as like beaten sore up now compared to doing the HIIT training. So I'm not going to repeat the same thing. Get your step count up. And number one is my body composition. It's still good. I don't think it's changed much from the past, but the reason why I give this the nod is just my body overall feels better and my strength has gotten a lot better as well. So let's talk about the cons now. Of course, it's a time commitment. Not every single person can work out 5 times per week and do like 10,000, 12,000 steps per day. I get we're busy, so it's hard to kind of fit in. The second big con I have as well, and you can definitely easily manipulate this, but for me, it's a bit redundant. Like, I love working out Monday through Friday. So I have my split. The problem with Monday to Friday is if you don't have an off day, it's hard to structure like different workout groups, if that makes sense. So let's say, for example, I did like upper on Monday, lower Tuesday. It's hard to have like an arm shoulder day on Wednesday because then I almost have to get back to some sort of upper body on the Thursday. Like I don't want to do like lower body Tuesday, Thursday, if that makes sense. So if you can take like a day off and like, maybe take Wednesday off and do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, for example, then I'd say it's a lot better and you can probably introduce different workout groups to it. But if you're working out 5 times per week, it could get a little bit redundant, especially if you are Monday through Friday. My overall big takeaway for you, highly recommended. 5 times per week is a lot, like I said. If you can do it, even 4 times, like upper lower split, still would work very great, and just try to get this high step count as you can. Try to fit into your schedule. Overall, though, highly recommended. Now let's get into number one. All right, coming in number one, and I'm going to break down why I know these 2 reasons were the reason this is going to be number one for me is I did 5 hybrid home workouts per week plus at least 10,000 steps per day. So let's break it down quickly. The hybrid home workouts, exact same thing. I'm not going to discuss it again. Basically everything outside of machines. And the workout is supposed the same with the upper body Monday, lower Tuesday. I already talked about that twice. So let's skip that part. So why do I know that this style of training will work best for me and why it could work best for you also? Number one is I think there has to be something said about old school style of training. Right? So I'm talking like barbell rows, chin-ups, pull-ups, barbell bench press, those old school exercises that we really focused on and just got stronger with. Nowadays, right, like at the gym, there's a machine for everything and everything is like optimized. Like we got like leading lateral raise machines, we got like sissy squat machines, like we got every single thing because everything has to be perfect, right? Not to say that doesn't work, but I just sometimes think we overthink it and we do too many things where we just kind of focus on like 10, 12, maybe 14 exercises and get stronger within those movements and just do it time after time after time. You're gonna get strong and you're gonna get some pretty sick results, right? So that's why I think number one, it worked the best for me and why it could for you also. And number two, of course, I'm not gonna talk about this over and over again, but just making the shift, walking to HIIT training, so much easier on the body. And especially as guys get older, it's just gonna feel way better for you. So definitely make that shift. What are the cons about this? And then big takeaway, and like I said, stick to the end because I'm gonna tell you some things within the workout split that I'm talking about. The only con to really say is if you don't have access to like this build at home gym, which I already talked about, then don't worry about it and just go to the gym workouts I talked about with the walking, because I get it. Like, not every single person can set up a sick home gym. It's a lot of money. But if you have to work out at home, it's going to really focus on dumbbells, barbells, and bands. Like, that's more than enough. Or just do the gym thing I talked about before, and you can just basically plug and play the system that I'm talking to you about. So that's the one con I'd say about it. Overall takeaway I have for you in this style of training: if you can do it, do it. So if you have the time, if you have the resources, absolutely do it. Old school style of training, I still think works very, very well. And sometimes the more simple we have things, the better it's going to be. Now, if you want to know some awesome tactics you can do within this style of training, make sure to watch this video. I told you how I actually got more muscle and lost more fat without lifting heavy weights. And if you want a free week's worth of workouts, grab the pins comment. I'll drop the home workouts. If you want gym, comment gym, and I'll send it your way. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video.